Hey all, here at OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and first impressions of the Archeer wireless microphone kit. This is the same company that produced the Bluetooth bamboo speaker, which was actually pretty popular and worked quite well, and some other smartphone accessories and peripherals. So this one is one of their more expensive products. It comes in a pretty large packaging and it sells for around $80 MRSP, but it sometimes goes on sale for as low as $50 or $60. This works best if you're into karaoke, and because it's a wireless set, the best thing is that there's no, tangles or annoying wires between the television and between the microphone. You have access to a wireless receiver box that transmits the radio frequencies for the microphones, and it delivers what they advertise as professional sounding quality for the mics. So it works good. It's a good option not only for home karaoke, also for performances at schools, concerts, churches, and also other events. And the wireless distance is about 150 meters, so it can actually be in different rooms and it will still pick up, your voice. It uses a VHF system and has 170 to 280 megahertz segments to avoid interference with other common radios in the air. In the box, we have a few accessories. The first is going to be obviously the wireless receiver box. That's how, again, the microphone communicates with this using wireless signals, which is then connected to your audio speaker system. It comes with actually two microphones in the box, so you can actually add more than two, but only two are included. So maybe if you're hosting an event, someone else can be talking, someone else can be singing, so on and so forth. There's also a Quickstart guide that documents how to set it up and link it up to a sound system, and it tells you how to change the channels, as well as put in the batteries, stuff like that. And that's it. So the microphones look like this, and they have been kind of wrapped up. The only way that you can tell the two apart is by this rubber seal at the bottom. One is orange and one is gray, so you can tell which one is mic 1 and mic 2. Each of these microphones do require additional batteries to be operated. They're not using rechargeable batteries, unfortunately. So it takes, as you can see here, two AA batteries. So it is something that you will have to replace every few months once it goes out. So it takes a total of 4 on both of the microphones. The size of the microphone also is a little bit large. It definitely is slightly heftier than your typical microphone. It's slightly larger and also weighs more. It has kind of a shiny plastic material. A dedicated on-off switch will open up the LCD display underneath that tells you the channel that it's on and some basic info like that. It remains fairly visible because the backlight is always on when the microphone is on, and it remains connected to the signal pretty quickly once you turn it on, so no real complaints there. It is capable of standing upright because of the rubber feet, and also because of the angular design of the lip here, so it's able to lie flat without rolling around on a surface, which is a plus. And again, everything seems to be fairly well constructed, as expected from a $90 karaoke kit. Alright, so the receiver box here is, again, pretty bulky. It's about the same size as an Android TV box. Construction quality is good. It's made out of aluminum. Same thing with the plate on the front and the back, so it feels pretty well built. And there's also another kind of small LCD display which is backlit in the same color as the screen on the mic, which makes it visible even under darker environments. And you can see all the knobs, which look fairly analog in style, also have a backlight around them. So again, in low light environments, it remains fairly easy to see. From here we can see the channel information that each microphone is at, and there's also a small visualizer for the sound signature that's being passed through. Here we can also manually change the volume output of microphone 1 and microphone 2. The power switch is located on the side. It's recessed and it's a physical switch. It's pretty tactile and responsive, but sometimes it can get a little bit stuck on the outside edges because it's not exactly precisely cut. But nonetheless, it still functions without too many issues. On the back you can see that these are the two antennas, which provides that fairly long 150-meter range. We have access to the power, which is a 12-volt proprietary charger that needs to be plugged in at all times. There's no battery, of course, and there's also rubber feet that prevents it from sliding around on a surface or a desk, along with the outputs. Now, this is probably the biggest downside of this particular model, is that the output is using this particular cable plug that only works with kind of larger speakers as well as sound systems. You may see it on some other older DVD players and boom boxes. I do wish that they would have also put in a standard auxiliary port, a 3.5 millimeter port to plug it into smaller and more modern and more common speakers that you may already have around the house. Because if you try looking around, you'll seldom see many speakers that have this particular type of plug. You'll find it on dedicated karaoke machines. You'll find it on, again, more professional home studio systems. But for the average consumer, it may be a little bit of a struggle to find the correct output, to plug that into. This cable, however, is at least included in the box as part of the added bonus. So again, they could have maybe added a few other sound output ports and not just this one type to this particular model. For the purpose of size comparison, here is the bundled microphone with a Bluetooth kind of speaker microphone. This is more of a novelty product. It's nowhere near as professional sounding, a lot more digital interference, but this is very popular and it's floating around on Amazon. There are lots of different models for it, and it typically sells for about 30 bucks. You can see the difference in size there. This one has another, again, Bluetooth speaker embedded onto the end. So really this thing is a lot larger and bulkier in terms of overall size and dimensions, considering that this also has a speaker. This would actually probably be sufficient for kids that just want to casually sing and for just picking it up and going, because it's a dedicated unit. This one requires a bit more setup process. It's for KTV, it's for a more home professional setup. Now, because it doesn't have a standard auxiliary port, this is also not something that you'll be plugging into a DSLR or onto a camcorder and using it as an external mic for interviews. So again, that is one use scenario that is not going to happen here. At least you have to use another converter box or another process to have a more complicated setup if you want to set it up for video and audio recording. With that being said, for most home karaoke systems, if you plug it into a kind of a DVD player that has this particular port, plug it into a television, onto a boombox, something of that sort, it works quite well. And the quality of the microphone is also pretty good. It has a good filter on here. It's a good condenser microphone, which means that if you kind of breathe into it or kind of tap on it very gently, it's actually going to try and hide or disguise some of that background sound and just try to pick up your voice. It does pretty good. It picks up your voice in omnidirections. It's not just sensitive at the top, it also works all the way around. So if you're talking into it, again, it picks up your voice without any problems, both for the purposes of speech as well as for sound. If you're a musician, if you're singing or trying to position it on a piano or onto a guitar, it does a good job of, again, picking up the music. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on first impressions look at the Archeer wireless microphone system for KTV. And again, this one sells for about $80 on Amazon. And you can find more details soon in our article coming out with a more in-depth review with testing. But for now, this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.